pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. City, thank you. Bobby, can you call roll, please?
Commissioner Nathan Liker.
Here.
Chair Neil Younger.
Here.
Commissioner Michael Burgess.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Order of business, everything stays the same. We'll have one executive session. Fellow commissioners, have you had a chance to look at the minutes?
Yep. Minutes look good.
Okay. The consent agenda, has everybody had a chance to look at that?
Yes.
Okay.
Good. I move to approve consent agenda items A through G.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Motion approved. Okay. Any issues from anyone not in order of business? Okay, the monthly departmental report.
Lots of activity. I did note a couple of things that will come up at the sometime in June that we'll be bringing some updates with.
Okay. Okay.
Looks fine, no comments from me.
Okay, Mr. Dave McDaniel with the Antonino Cell Tower.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
David McDaniel, Chairman of the Ellis County Joint Planning Commission. This morning we're here to present the conditional use permit number 2312 for a cell tower. This is for Nextech Wireless. Tom Haas is the property owner. The information I believe you have in your packet, so I'll just touch on it lightly. The public hearing was held on April 26th. All reports were in and current. The 11 points of finding and facts were looked at and reviewed. There was a 7-0 vote to approve this application, and the protest period ended on May 10th with no protests presented. The documentation is complete on this one. All the fees have been paid, all the notifications have been made, the sign was posted as requested, the public hearing was presented, and the protest period has expired. The committee recommends approval, and as I don't have to tell you before, you can approve, deny, or kick it back to the committee.
Any comments?
I have no comments. We have a zoning board that does a very good job.
I'll move that we approve Resolution 23-06 to approve CUP 2312 to allow Nextech Wireless to construct a utility pole and install telecommunication equipment on the described parcel located approximately 1,000 feet south of Antonino Road and west of 210th Avenue, Ellis County, Kansas.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion further? No? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Gabe?
Okay, are we on the bridge grant then from Brandon?
Yes, Brendan's out of town, as you know, when we scheduled this to come back to today. Sorry, Darren Myers, County Administrator. Brendan's at the Kansas State Highway Association Conference, I believe it's titled something like that. But he was there this week, and he will be on phone when we're ready to call him. I just texted him, and he's ready. And I'll kind of just take over the presentations, and then if the public or the commissioners have any more specific questions that I can't answer, we'll just have him answer them over the phone. So if you're ready, I will give him a call and we can start.
You ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
This worked before the meeting, so.
Please do not dial a 1 when dialing this number.
I should have known that. Can you all hear it out there?
Morning, Commissioners. Brennan McKay, Ellis County Public Works Director.
Morning, Brendan.
Morning, Brandon.
Morning. So before you again is the follow-up from 2 weeks ago about which application you'd like us to submit for the Kansas Local Bridge Improvement Program grant. That's due here at the end of the month. So as we discussed before, it's a minimum of $50,000 for closing a structure, or if it's more than 50 feet, you get $1,000 per linear foot. After discussion with KDOT, they'll write a check for the linear footage of the bridge. So even though the FAS 820 12th Street Bridge is 232.3 feet, although our local match is only 176,000 roughly, we would still receive a check for $232,000. So if you choose to go with that option, the amount that we would receive for closing that structure actually covers our local match and our non-participating costs. The right-of-way acquisition, utility relocation, and preliminary engineering and design work for that structure. The other option, like we discussed 2 weeks ago, is taking structure 577.0 or 38.9, which is a wooden timber structure. It's on 100th Avenue, just north of Locust Grove Road, and downsizing that to either a precast structure or a few CMPs. The stream channel is actually shifted away from there, and it's going to a different structure along that stretch of roadway. So the size of it doesn't need to be the size it is. So we could potentially close that structure by and pulling off inventory by making it no longer a bridge, but never permanently closing traffic on it. It'll just be closed during construction. And for that one, we would get $50,000. I would recommend applying for one of these two options because having a bridge closure on there gives us more points in the ranking system for the grant, be competitive.
Okay.
Do you have any questions on that for me?
Not specific at this moment.
Have you heard any further about the grant cycle? I know in the last week you're at meetings and this week you're at meetings. This particular grant cycle is several months ahead of where we thought it would be. We're in May, we thought it'd be in October. Is there any thought that the state may open up the grant cycle again later in this year, or what their cycle looks like next year?
Not yet. KDOT just arrived this morning. They're actually giving their presentation here at 10 o'clock County Highway Association conference. So I plan on talking with them there at that, or when I catch them at the breaks. Normally this grant comes out every fall, along with the off-system bridge grant. So do not know if they're going to have a double application this year, like they do cost share with the spring and a fall letting. Truth be told, I can't tell you which way it is right now.
Okay.
But I plan on asking Todd Selfrank and Don Vesky with KDOT here later on this day when I'm able to meet with them.
Okay. Probably can't sit here till 10 o'clock and wait. On the Saline River Bridge, we applied for funding to repair that bridge previously, didn't they? And they denied that application, if I have my history right?
Correct. We applied last year, and we did not receive funding for it.
Was there an explanation on why we did not receive funding for it?
Just that they had so many applications, and although ours was a good application, unfortunately we weren't selected.
Okay.
Was there a bridge that was applied for closure last year at this time on that structure on Saline River?
Yes. At that time, I had applied for the one on 100th Avenue because the way it fell with our meeting schedule just didn't line up with enough time to bring it forward to before the commission and the public about including 12th Street Bridge's closure.
Okay.
And generally with these grants, you apply every year, but you receive, in the past, in my experience in looking back at these, it's about every other year you're awarded a grant. Prior to my coming to Ellis County had just received the KLBIP grant.
Got
So
it.
last year was our off year, potentially not as high of a chance being selected, in my opinion, but then we're now 1 year out of receiving a rejection letter, so it improves our chances from what I've seen in the past of how they've awarded grants to counties.
And that's just personal insight, that's not actual, you can...
Yes.
Okay.
That's just what I've been able to infer from it. I mean, I'm not on the selection committee. I don't see how they rank things and score them. They try and keep things fair and equitable between all the 5 KDOT districts. And then with this last grant run in the fall was when all the changes came into effect for the off-system bridge program and the KLBIP program, where it's now KLBIP is open to these large structures on these FAS routes. Prior to this past fall, it was meant for 50 feet or less bridges, small structures on FAS routes.
Gotcha.
I really have no questions, Brandon. Just when you're on your way back, get the Brinks truck, and then that way we can do whatever with all of them. But it's just, like you said, it's a waiting game. It's tough, and as we all know, our system got run down. We need to get right on the right foot again, but that's going to take a lot of funding and a lot of finger crossing, hoping we can get some of these grants. So hopefully you can bring us some good news back.
One of the items that the commission did ask is if, looking at the 2 bridges as an option to close, either one on the West County line or the 12th Street Bridge, is if the 12th Street Bridge was not selected this year as part of the grant application the commission would like to apply for, and if the other one was applied for. But what would be the plan for the 12th Street Bridge over the next couple of years? Because if we close it, it would become ineligible to apply for a future grant. So in talking with Brendan and looking at some comparable work they did on another bridge, just to make the 12th Street Bridge more suitable for traffic, it wouldn't improve the building's life or extend the bridge's life. But we could do some patchwork on top of the bridge like they did out at the Yosemite Bridge on the north side of Old 40. But the repairs that they did on the Yosemite Bridge several years ago was about $10,000. But I apologize if I don't say it right, but the delineation of the bridge wasn't as bad as the 12th Street Bridge. There's a lot more hollow spaces. There's a lot more concrete and rebar shown on top of it, so they would have to do a little bit more work. And then due to the amount of work, they'd rent another piece of equipment. But Brendan feels that about if the 12th Street Bridge was to be the decision to keep open and look at other options for it into the future, estimated price to do that work in-house would be about $20,000 to $25,000 by putting that patchwork on top of it and smoothing some of the approaches up. And that would be the suggestion from Brendan and in our discussions, is to at least, if the bridge is to stay open, that would be the repair work that would need to be taken, so that way it can still be used. And as of last week too, the one call was in touch to make all the signings changes, so that way the load limits on the bridge could also be reduced to that. I believe it was 20 ton or 15, one of the two, but that is also in the process of getting taken care of as well.
Yep, and the one call appeared on that, Darren. I haven't been able to follow up with Larry yet, but he was going out yesterday to install those signs, the 20-ton load limit signs for that structure.
So if that helps with your decision process of which grant to apply for, that would be the cost estimate to do some minor repairs in-house to the 12th Street Bridge and keep it open for several years. It just wouldn't extend the life. It'd just give us some more years to consider some other options.
Maybe get our ducks in a row.
On the 100th Avenue, if we were to use that as the option, we would get approximately $50,000 towards the Saline River, but what is the cost of what we would have to do as far as taking the corrugated metal pipe and reducing that size and doing the work on 100th Avenue to take it off
Did you hear that, Brendan?
bridge system?
Yes, I barely. The cost to remove the structure in place with a culvert or a precast box on 100th Avenue, depending upon what option we go with, it could be anywhere from $20,000 to $35,000. We would do another hydrology study on it to confirm what the engineer stated and design an appropriately sized structure, whether that's putting in 1 6-foot culvert, 2 5-foot culverts, or a 2-cell concrete box or a 1-cell concrete box. Just need to follow up with them on it and get the actual numbers from them. But I mean, we'd be looking at $20,000 to $35,000 for that one, and then around $25,000 just to. It's not going to improve the deck on 12th Street. It's just going to smooth the ride out. That's what we had done on Yosemite Avenue. We won't chip out areas where the surface is delaminated, those hollow areas, but we will just knock out the loose stuff in those potholes that are already there and smooth ride. It's not going to be a improved deck, just a little bit smoother for traffic that's still going across it. Would be the intent behind our repair on 12th Street.
Commissioners, when you're ready, I have some input that has something to do with what he just said.
Hang on one second. As far as the 25,000, Brandon, once we get into it, we're probably going to find that that structure is worse than what we think it is as far as the rebar and stuff. So I guess if we could all look through it, that'd be great. But I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit more than that because the bridge is old. The salt and everything gets down through there. But
Yep.
I'm good with, trying it and like say smooth the ride out. That's all we're going to do. We're just going to put a Band-Aid on it. Like Commissioner Liker said, that way we can get our stuff in line here and go from there.
Well, here's my thoughts. Maybe this will diffuse, maybe it'll ignite the bomb, I don't know. But I think after a couple weeks of doing what I think is my due diligence to look at these options and mulling it over, my conclusion is, and what I would support, is going with option 2, using the 100th Avenue Bridge for this grant cycle. That's where I'm sitting at this point. And defer on 12th Street Bridge at this time for this grant cycle. I can elaborate on that more if you want, but that's where my stance is. We use 100th Avenue.
I would have to concur with that because it's to try and get things figured out financially here to go into the future. There may be a better program in the future to repair the bridge or update it or change it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with that too. I'd support that.
Okay.
They say we got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
We have to start.
We have to start.
I think if that's,
Stuff got neglected, and it was a funding issue, so. Any more discussion?
no.
Comments?
Sure, anything
Quick
from the public?
clarification.
Okay.
If you do go with option 2 on the Hunter Street Bridge, would you like Brendan to proceed for planning this year to replace do some patchwork to the bridge deck on 12th Street?
I think we have to.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
If
have
we're,
to.
we can't keep ignoring the
No.
problem.
Like I say, it's just putting a Band-Aid on it, but it'll buy us a few
It'll
years.
buy us a few years to kind of figure out if there's other options available. I think that's a little bit on our part, and maybe not to criticize past commissions, but 12th Street's just been ignored
It's-
without exploring too many other options. So I think that gives us a little bit of time to explore other options. I also think it gives us an opportunity, there's other bridges in the county that we're going to have to figure out what to do with. Some of them are much more traveled than 125th, and, is 12th Street a better option at some other point? So I think it gives us that time, so.
Yeah, I'm not saying
But
nothing
I think
against.
we can't just let 12th Street sit there while we use that time. I guess to finish my thought is, yes, I think we got to do something to smooth the ride out, allow people to use it. If we're going to use it, then we need to make it appropriate to use, so.
Yeah, I'm not saying nothing against the other commissioners in the past. It's just, when I got in here, there wasn't much funding here. So, like I say, we got to move forward and go on and regroup and forget the past and get into the future.
And we still get a major bridge, hopefully, cross our fingers, let's get this grant and get it, and we still get a major bridge in our system repaired. It's going to cost us some, but I think that cost is worthwhile. We're getting 2 areas fixed. We're getting 100th Avenue fixed, 125th fixed, and then we'll address 12th Street a little bit more. So I think it accomplishes some things.
We gonna allow public comment on this?
Mr. Byrd, would,
For your record, I'm John T. Bird. I'm here personally and as an attorney for some other people, but first I want to make sure I don't snatch defeat from the jaws of victory here. If I had heard what Darren and your staff told you a little earlier, I probably wouldn't have come here today. That's what you're proposing to do is exactly what we were asking, which is to have a little more time to review this. It may well be that the 12th Street Bridge goes out of your system at some point, but I don't think you had quite enough data to make that final decision. And I think that if you do what you're proposing to do here, which is to frankly sacrifice the other bridge over on the west side, which is really not functional, it sounds like, or as functional, that's a good decision. That leaves you as many options as you could possibly still have. And so I just want to thank you. I want to thank the commissioners also who replied to the emails that you received. I had good feedback from the neighbors out there, and I went to an event this weekend at the Yeagers, Mr. Yeagers out at the experiment station, I think you know, and he told me to basically pass along to you guys that he'd appreciate anything you can do to keep that open for a little while longer. And you got the letter from Ron Keithley, I think, which actually I hadn't thought too hard about, but makes a lot of sense that access to that cemetery for because the city of Hayes is out of lots over here on the old cemetery. So all the new lots that are being sold are over on this end of the county. So we appreciate all of that, and I do think it's a better decision-making process, and we appreciate you taking a good, hard look at this. Thank you.
okay, thank you.
I don't think we need an actual motion to go ahead and proceed with the option 2.
No, the direction of the intent of the agenda item was for 2 options to be brought to the commission to make a determination which option to choose or which bridge to potentially close or change the structure. So that way the application was submitted with the intent of if a bridge closure were to happen, this process would have went through the county commission, public forum, and input could have been received to make sure that the commission was part of the decision on the overall process of a bridge closure.
Okay. No one else is jumping up, so moving forward, County Commission report. Darren?
Just two quick things. First is, as you may or may not saw, we did lift the burn ban yesterday into the unincorporated areas of Ellis County. Would have been nice if we had a lot more rain, but we feel with the forecast, the persistent drought conditions are probably only going to get worse in the summer months with the heat, lower humidity, and stuff drying back out again. So just take the time where we have a little bit of moisture, a little bit of ground fuel that is retain that moisture to allow the burning to happen, and then we'll just readdress it in the later months of the summer if we need to. But hopefully the rain continues and we don't have to bring that up again. The second item that I wanted to bring forth is back from our commission retreat. The commission had asked that we have more interaction with the press and with Hayes Post. And in speaking with Jonathan Zweigert, he would like to see if the commission would entertain meeting every third Wednesday of the month at 9:15, and just the commission could rotate, and I could attend with you in case you had something that come up. We would still have a voice there, but do the morning show the third Wednesday every month with a different commissioner to recap the commission meetings for the month. So I was going to get your input to see if that was something, and I could just send out calendar invites and we could rotate it, and if one commissioner can't make it, we can discuss who can go or in the place. But he would just like to ensure that if we do start the process, that we actually have a commissioner that would be there to speak.
Follow through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm open. I replied to your email that I'm very open to it. I think it's something that we should be doing. So that way we can speak for ourselves a little bit before they just write about us. So I'm fair game, and I'm willing to. I think if it rotates, it means one of us about every 4 months or 3 months or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm good with it too. As we move forward, think for the city people to be here. The more we get it out there, better off we are. Work together. Okay. County Commission reports.
I have none at this time.
I attended Ellis City Commission last evening, and then we need rain. Probably as I went out and spoke to people, number one concern for the ones I talked to was, of course, the bridge, but the number two was just rain. And people are farmers are selling their cattle because there's not grass. The wheat didn't grow, and they're trying to kick it out on there, and maybe insurance isn't coming through on wheat. So I pray for rain, pray for the farmers that are going to have to get through this wheat. It's a mess. And on county side, we can't, people are kind of complaining about roads, but we can't really shape roads if there's no moisture on the roads either. So rain is what we need for everything. That's all I got.
Okay. Only thing I have is I went to a couple different graduation parties, and some of the people were from Shinchin, and they complimented the county for fixing their roads down there. So we are out and trying, like I say, need moisture, but and then the one individual asked me who had painted the fire hydrants down there. Have you any idea? Okay.
Yeah, Lyle, we annually go out and flow test the hydrants in Munger, Shinchin, and Catherine, and then paint them accordingly to a certain standard. So yeah, they all been painted within the last month.
Okay, because the citizen didn't ask him what his name was. I said, well, I'll bring it up. We'll thank Lyle and, for that. So that's all I have.
Okay. All right, Commissioners, I move the Board of Commissioners recess to executive session for 15 minutes under the following exception to Kansas Open Meetings Act pursuant to the non-elected personnel matter exception. Subject to be discussed during the executive session is personnel matter. Those in attendance to the Board of Commissioners are Bill Jeter, Jennifer Taylor, and Darren Myers. We will return to our meeting at 9:15.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's roll.
Okay.
That gives us 2 minutes.
I know, I was like, well, he thought of that. Good job. You guys are easy.
Okay.
No decisions were made?
Nope, no decisions were made, so we will adjourn at 9:17.
Sorry, Bobby, we were just a touch on the back, late side.
I'm gonna turn y'all in.
We're